DD 2090 may be in the books, but you can catch Gamasutra's coverage from last week right here. From details on Google Stadia to brilliant talks on game design to interviews from game industry luminaries, plus all the news you can use. Here are just a few highlights from the show. Stadia's best director talks challenges, opportunities in the age of cloud games. Chris Kraft, an interview with Jack Bisser, director of games for Google's newly announced cloud streaming platform, Stadia, on how starting up a game instantly via a hyperlink could change how game marketing is done. If I want to tweet out my game, I can do that. If I want to leverage YouTube, I could do that. If I want to use my own website, I can do that. Really, the totality of the internet becomes the opportunity. If one particular venue is not right for you as a developer or publisher, well, there are so many other ways. How indie devs can found their own worker cooperative and make it well. Game developers from several studios spoke about the benefits and drawbacks of worker cooperatives, what they are, and how fellow developers can confidentially farm their own. There's not some one way over your head that's sucking up the surplus value of your labor after you get paid, said Scott Benson, developer on Night in the Woods, and co-owner of the worker co-op, The Glorious Society. In worker cooperatives, everyone is sharing in that and discussing how that's distributed, mapping out the subtle social cues. Throughout Hitman's level, designer Lisa McAloon, the hide-in-plain-sight gameplay of the Hitman series, means its level designers are faced with the unique challenge, whenever creating one of the game's sprawling sandboxes. How do you design believable everyday life? Apart from mocking everything up, one of the most important things that will do in a game like Hitman is making drama situations as we call them, says IO Interactive's Matt Polden-Anderson. We borrow a little bit from the world of theater. Sweeney commits to human modulators, quality filters. A Epic Games star Alex World, Epic Games founder Tim Sweeney, is frank about the state of the digital marketplace and his vision for the Epic Games store. In this Gamasutra interview, we have a storefront now tour. Big Willpower storefront is not going to be the big all and all either. Knocking down design pillars was key to making Destiny 2 as Gambit mode really shine. Lisa McAloon. Bunny outlined 8 distinct design pillars when it set out to create what would become Destiny 2 X player versus everything versus player mode Gambit. But the only reason the mode became what it is today is because the dev team looked at breaking rules can sometimes be as important as making them. Says Bungie's Peter Sarrett. Ironically, we succeeded by failing. We did not find a way to make the players care about the other team without direct player interaction. And it turns out that was the secret sauce that really makes Gambit stand out. Mark here. Gamasutra and GDC are sibling organizations under parent company Informa Newsbrief. Sony has rolled out its pay-for-access streaming and downloadable game catalog to 7 more countries across Europe. The expansion follows a beta that launched in those same countries earlier this year and opens the service up to PlayStation users in Italy, Spain, Portugal, Finland, Sweden, Denmark, and Norway. Originally launched as a streaming service, PlayStation now offers a library of PS4, PS3, and PS2 games that can be either downloaded to a subscriber's PlayStation 4 system or played as streaming games from their PS4 or PC. With today's expansion, the service is now available in 19 countries. Valve has opened up the use of a handful of APIs to partner Steam developers, granting them tools geared toward better multiplayer play. Developers can find a full rundown of exactly what Valve has offered up in a Steamworks post. But in short, the release grants access to Valve's own network infrastructure and additional tools like the Steam Networking Utils API and Steam Networking Socket SOPI. With these tools at their disposal, Valve's devs should be able to offer faster and more secure connections to those playing multiplayer games using Valve's network. For example, anonymized traffic and protects game servers and clients from DDoS attacks and ultimately makes it more difficult for external forces to disrupt gameplay. Valve also notes that this setup can improve playing time experienced by players and says that 43% of players saw an improvement in playing time under this system. The Steam Networking Utils API offers devs tools for estimating pings, something explained in the full post, and the Steam Networking Sockets API acts as a general-purpose transport library for games and has features geared towards encryption and authentication as well as fragmentation, reassembly, and retransmission, both of which are also available in the open-source version of the API. Valve says that this is the first of several updates it has planned to help Steam devs improve their networked games. Specifically, while this update has primarily improved peer-to-peer networking, we are also working on making the solutions we have developed for our own dedicated servers available to partners, says the post. In 1980, Atari had one single software engineer, who was female. That woman, Ona Bailey, whose only prior programming experience was assembly displays at General Motors, created the classic arcade title Centipede against enormous odds in a high-stakes environment. In the infancy of the gaming industry, as the keynote speaker at the Women in Games International Conference, she will share the lessons of her experience, her advice for professional and aspiring female game designers, and her ideas for the unique role women can play in game design. Ahead of the conference, Gamasutra spoke with Ms. Bailey about some of these ideas, and discussed her challenging experience at Atari where colleagues did not believe she could possibly be responsible for a Centipede, even after completed it. She discusses how treating programming as an extension of verbal language can bring greater artistic depth to the gaming medium, which she was not given the freedom to express at the time, and explains how the history-making Centipede might never even have been if not for a chance encounter with one song by the Pretenders. At the time you created Centipede, you were one of the only female game designers in the industry, and at a heavyweight like Atari, no less. Can you describe what that was like? I always say that it was the closest to being in a frat that I will ever be. When I started at Atari, there were probably around 30 game designers who were professionals of one sort or another. Either software engineers, or hardware engineers, or technicians. I was hired as the only software engineer who was a female. It was a ratio of 30 to 1, and by the time I left, it was about 120 to 1. Were you intimidated? Not intimidated, but it was really an interesting experience. It was my first exposure to this kind of situation. When you are the only person of a certain kind, you kind of lose your identity. It's really strange. It's not that I ever forgot I was female, but I would go for stretches where I would sort of forget. It had some good points, and it was kind of tough, though. I remember towards the end of the second year of it I was there. For 27 months after about 2 years, I remember thinking, I want to know what I am like again, on my own, by myself, without all of this around me. Did you feel additional pressure at the drawing board because of being female? Yeah, I think that there was a lot of additional pressure just by being the only female. I think I was watched a lot more than I could have been. I could have blended in a lot better, if not for that one thing. I think that my personality was quite a bit different, too. You never know what you debut like if you were male, and I never spent any time thinking, I wonder. But I do think that I have always been sort of introverted and quiet, and kind of shy, and all the things that, if I had not been female, would have allowed me to take a place in the back, and not in the line of vision all the time.